Hello everybody, this video will be talking about what criteria I look for to take an A plus app, right? I have criteria to look for an A plus app, right? I want the stock to have relative strength slash relative weakness, look decent on the higher time frame, and also show that we're above our higher time frame levels, right? So above our key levels, higher time frame bullish, and also relative strength, right? So that's the three things I mainly look for, and I'll be kind of giving you guys examples on all three, looking at showing real trades, right? Because this month, 100% win rate month, right? All my trades are shown and also recapped on YouTube and Discord. So um, yeah, let's get into the video. So we will be talking about first, right, trading option relative strength, right? Finding A plus step using the higher time frame, and simply what is relative strength, right? Relative strength is simply right, which stocks are outperforming the market for me intraday, right? And which stocks are also weak for the market intraday for relative weakness, right? So relative strength are strong stocks, and relative weakness are weak stocks compared to the market, which is a QQQ and SPY, right? Because QQ and SPY normally are very, very similar in price action, so we usually just couple them together, right? So let's show you guys an example, right, of what I look for. So last Friday was kind of an anomaly example, right? Because I actually took QQQ puts, right? Normally I will be trading tech names, right, using QQ and SPY as an advantage to determine whether or not there's relative strength, relative weakness on a specific tech name. But on Friday, all the tech names were just not doing anything. So I'll kind of talk to you on how I kind of trade QQQ instead of the tech names, right? So I would like, right? So what I want to see for a stock that's relative strength is a stock that's making higher highs and higher lows while QQ and SPY are either chopping around or showing that they're making lower highs and lower lows, right? So they're in a bearish trend, right? So I want to see a stock on tech that's making a bullish trend while QQ and SPY are either chopping or making a bearish trend, right? So what does that look like, right? So this is what I want to see from a stock, right? This is like a photo that just you should have to understand, right? Like the basics. Of course, it's not going to look just like this, right? Because trading is not that simple, but it will give you a pretty good idea on what I look for. So this is a bullish trend, right? So higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, and higher lows, right? So bear trend, you'll see lower highs and lower lows and lower highs and lower lows. So I'll kind of show you guys examples for all three. And then ranging. Ranging is simply when we're between two key levels and we're not breaking to either side, right? Normally you don't want to trade a name that's ranging at all, right? You don't want to trade a name, and also you don't want to be trading at all options if any name is ranging, because you have no momentum, right? And no also volatility, right? Which on options traders we love, because you can pretty much make a lot of money, right, in a very short amount of time if you get the move right. So that's what we look for as options traders, and I'll be kind of explaining to you guys that on the chart. So what I look for as a higher time frame. So I'll use just Tesla as an example. So let me get this out. So I'll be showing you guys Tesla on the hourly time frame on a bullish trend and a bearish trend, and also show you guys what choppiness looks like, right? So this is the hourly time frame, and normally when I'm trading, I'll look for like a little shorter time frame, right, on the hourly time frame. Right, oh, my bad. I'll look for like a smaller span of time on the hourly time frame, right? So I'll look at this, see if we're kind of bullish. And what is this, guys? We're just ranging on Tesla, right? We're just simply ranging right now. We're not showing really any bullish price action or bearish price action, right? In the bigger scope on Tesla, right? But if we kind of look in the past, right, we can kind of see that we're showing right over here, we're showing bullish price action, right? Higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows. Previous resistance now after we broke it comes into support, right? So right, that's simply what we want to see, right? So higher time frame looks very bullish. So if I was trading Tesla on this day, right, I know that we're very bullish on higher time frame, right? After we're above our key levels, I want to be looking to long this name if we show relative strength in intraday, right? So, and then also another example, right? This is relative weak, not relative weakness, my bad. This is just bearish market structure on Tesla, right? So you can see us, we're just making higher, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows. We're simply just coming back down and showing no strong market structure to the upside, right? So you should not be longing this name at all, right? If you're long in this name, what's wrong with you, right? So you can see even on this day, I actually shorted this name. You can actually see like the P&L thing. So what is this? Monday. So this is last month. So I won't even talk about this, but this probably trade I took last month on shorts on Tesla, right? As you can see, it probably worked out, right? Why? Because we're bearish on the higher time frame, so it's high probability of working out, right? Because if we're bearish on higher time frame, and if we can see relative weakness on intraday, right, we're kind of increasing our odds to have that continuation move and also that move in our favor on whatever way we're trading, right? So on this, we're trading to the downside, so we're gonna be taking puts. So yeah, so I know I'm kind of talking a lot and also very fast. So if you guys have questions, right, do not uh do not like be hesitant to comment down below, right? Or also join Discord, just message me, right? Right, this a lot of this you actually don't need to know like a lot of this. Is just the fundamentals, right? After you know the fundamentals, you realize that you don't really use this as often. You look at it, glance to understand it, and then like actually learn to trade, right? So this and trading is kind of different, but this helps you. This is like your foundation, your support on how to identify high probability steps and how to trade, right? So as like an example, right? This is like as a video game, right? This is kind of like learning this is kind of like downloading what's a good example? This is like aim training. You're like kind of aim training, right? Learning what's higher time for low, like they're learning all the basics. But when you actually start training, when you're actually in the game, right, and you're actually shooting shots, then you can kind of discern very quickly what's a low probability step and what's a high probability steps using the fundamentals. What I'm trying to teach you guys, right? So I think I talked about right, like higher time frame and lower time frame, right? This video is just talking about kind of the trend and downtrend, right? To kind of talk about more about higher time frame will require another video, but that is just that topic for now, right? So why relative strength matters for options, right? As I said, it will increase the probability of your steps working out, right? Also, it'll kind of make you confident in your steps, right? You want to be able to be confident in taking your steps. There was a period in like when I used to trade, right? When I would see the A plus step, right? But still be hesitant, right? Still be waiting for more confirmation. And by the time I wait for more confirmation, right? The trade's already like my contract's already up 20-30% if I entered at when I wanted to enter if I wasn't confident. I mean if I was confident, So you can miss very good entries and also exits if you're not confident and just like in the trade, right? You have to, trading, I'm telling you, overthinkers do not get rewarded in trading, right? You just have to understand the risk and reward and why the setup looks good to you, right? Why it looks good on a higher time frame and what levels you have supporting your trade, right? What consoles you have supporting your trade. You can like it sucks to suck, but like if you are hesitant, like you will you're just hurting yourself in the long term because options does like you don't get a reward on options being patient, right? Like I like be patient and waiting for too much confirmation, right? If you're patient and then you see a huge green candle, right? Let me use like QQQ for example, right? So this is a trade I took last Friday, right? For a 110% win on 0 day contracts, which is a Friday, right? Like what happened here, right? I saw that we rejected this pre-market low level plus the 624 level, right? So a key level, right? 624 plus another key level, pre-market low. So I can couple these kind of two levels together, and I want to see price just show a strong break and an instant retest, right? Because I know this name is very, very weak, right? We rejected our pre-market high multiple times, so I know that if we can kind of show an instant rejection of this pre-market low level, I can take puts, right? Safely having my stop loss above this 624 plus pre-market low level, and then my risk reward can be very, very good, right? So my risk reward here is 1 to 3.2, right? And also on options, if I can get the momentum right, which clearly we can see that there's very, very bearish price action, right? The momentum can be there. Then I can actually make more money, right? Risk reward doesn't matter as much in options trading as it does in futures because it's kind of a little bit more iffy in options because you have the Greeks, right? Data and all the other ones. So your percentages kind of also your gains also depend on the volatility and also the time how fast it happens. So that's a little bit more of a that's a little bit something you understand more the more you trade, right? This is more just talking about what I look for. So I will also be looking for names that are relatively weak, right? So this Tech and QQQ, right? QQQ and SPY, we just see that we are very weak for the day, right? This is not relative weakness, relative strength, because relative weakness, relative strength are something you will base off Tech versus QQQ and SPY. This is QQQ and SPY, right? So this is not relative weakness. This is just weakness, right? So let me bring an example that I actually took on Nvidia. I live traded this. So this is something I actually took live. So let me open this up actually, right? So let's actually do that. So we will just go here. So what's happening here, right? So I will kind of talk to you guys. This is on Thursday, January 15th. Okay, so let me pull it up. What's happening on this date on QQQ and SPY, right? So I'm telling you guys, I will give you guys such a good explanation for this trade and like how you can kind of understand what I do in real time. So this is January 15th. Okay, perfect. So no kills are marked down, unfortunately, because my indicator, right, only works for the intraday. So we'll have to mark down manually, but we can just see, right? This is a very pretty bullish price action on the higher time frame slash intraday time frame. Why? Because we kind of gapped up, right? We clearly had some sort of news event, some sort of event that kind of caused the markets to gap up. So I would trade Nvidia this day, right? So this is the day, right? Thursday, January 15th, and we can kind of see that. What are we doing here? Like I'll wait. I'll wait. What are we doing here? We are arranging, right? So as I talked earlier, there's three things, right? Higher highs, higher lows, lower highs, lower lows, and then arranging, where we're just bouncing between levels. And this is clearly arranging, right? You do not want to trade this, but right, you don't want to trade that, right? But you have to realize that I'm not trading this, right? This is a QQ and SPY, which I'm using to my advantage to trade tech, right? So I'm using QQ and SPY, right, to gauge whether or not a stock has relative strength or relative weakness, right? The QQ and SPY is is chopping around, right? Look how choppy this is. But a tech is making higher highs and higher lows, while QQ is chopping around and at low of day. And that shows me that that tech name has relative strength, right? So does that kind of make sense, right? So let me go back to that video. So that video, let me actually pull this up real quick, right? Guys, I don't know how to edit videos, so just bear with me. Right, so let me talk about, this is not a setup video, right? This is just a criteria of what I look for, right? So I will not be talking about like the setup I look for and stuff like that, but like, right, so this video is just clearly about the criteria I look for. So as I talked about earlier, right, relative strength, higher time frame, and intraday time frame showing strong price action, right? Those are the three things I look for. And like these slides, like this slides, I just made this, but like clearly what matters is how you actually apply these to your trading. So right, so this setup right here on the video on January 15th, right, the markets are open live, right? So you can see, right, so QQ and SPY are just chopping around this entire day. So I took this trade at what, 8:40. Actually, when did I take this trade? So at 8:41, I took this trade, right? So 8:41, what's happening on QQ spot 8:41? So 8:41, we're not doing anything. We're just bouncing off low days, chopping around, while Nvidia is trying to break high day and showing strong price action, right? So this is not a set video, so I won't be talking about really why I took this trade and show you guys like understand like why, but I have trade recaps, right? So go watch the trade recaps. I broke down what I saw at trade and also talked about what the bullish price action I saw, and we're also above our key levels, right? So as I said earlier, we're also above our pre-market high, right? So we're showing bullish price action above our key levels, so that kind of checks off, right? Like that we're also bullish intraday. But look at this. So enter the video calls, right? And enter the calls, right? What Confluence is simply just saw that we had bullish price action bouncing off this pre-market high with strong buyers, right? Kind of consolidate instantly off this aura block, and also while QQ inspired chopping, Nvidia was trying to make a new higher high. Simple as that, right? Nvidia was literally doing this, right, and showing strong price action at that kind of candle. This candle is very very strong, right? So I know that Nvidia has buyers. So as I said, literally relative strength. That'll be like another video I'll talk about, right? On like what I use for confluences and how I kind of can stay in a trade for a little bit longer. But as you guys can see, right, I will kind of use, that's literally what I use. Like I'm not like hiding anything. Like I literally use relative strength and relative weakness every single day. Every single trade recap you see, it will always be about that, right? Unless I'm trading QQ and SPY, then the name just has weakness, right? This is a little bit of a more of um a unique situation because I traded QQQ last Friday, and the last time I traded QQQ was literally like 2 months ago. So like, yeah, but I feel like I talked about majority of things, right? So let's just go back and kind of like uh like make a conclusion on what I kind of talked about. I know I kind of was jumping here and there, but as long as you kind of understand like 20% of what I said, then like in the future videos that I'll make that will be way better and way more better edited, right? This is more of me on a spur, then they'll be more clear for you to actually learn, right? So let's start from the beginning again, right? Trading ultra relative strength, right? We talked about higher highs, higher lows, right? And this also works best. Look at the higher time frame, right? You want to see higher time frame. If the name is making higher highs and higher lows. And as another example, actually, I will be showing you guys another name, right? We'll be talking about MU. I'll be showing you guys a higher time frame, right? And I want you to guys tell me, is this bullish or bearish, right? Maybe comment down below, is this bullish or bearish, right? If you get this wrong, then I don't know what to say. What does this look like to you guys? What does it look like to you? Bullish, right? This is bullish market structure. And why? Right? Higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, right? Previous level of resistance, right here became support, right? This area, this 280 area, right, that we clearly rejected here, right, became support, and we just keep pushing the upside, right? This is not bearish price action, right? You should not be trying to short this name, right? Maybe unless we break under this area right here, then you can kind of short this name, right? But like you're not trying to look for shorts on this name. We're trying to look for long in this name above our previous day key levels, right? So if I see this name being above our pre-market high in our previous day high, then I'm like, okay, you know what? I wanted to long this name, right? And look what happened, right? We kind of like showed sellers breaking above our pre-market high, rejecting this pre-market high level, right? But end of day, we close again, strong price action, right? So now MU looks good again for longs, right? So this can be a name you guys can look for, right, next week to trade, right? I'm just putting this out there. Look at this. This is bullish ass price action, right? You don't want to trade name that's chopping around. Let me give you guys an example of a name that's chopping around, right? As another example. So this is Amazon, and let's see. So Amazon actually kind of yeah, this is actually perfect, right? So look at what's happening here on Amazon, right? This is kind of a shorter time frame, but let's just focus on right here, right? So I don't want to long this name or short this name until it breaks below this 360 this 360 area, right? Or above our previously high area, right? Which is pretty much this 240 area, right? So I want to see strong price action above 240 and a candle closure above this order block right here. What the hell I click, right? This, so I want to see us get above this area to long this name back, right, to these hourly highs, or to short this name back down low, right, to these hourly lows over here, right? So like you have to understand, right, what's happening on the higher time frame very quickly, right, for bullish, bearish, or ranging. Very simply, right? Sometimes you don't have to look at the higher time frame if a name is relative strength or relative weakness, right? And you can clearly see that just look at how strong the intraday price action is in the first 5 to 10 minutes, right? So that's another thing I'll talk about in future videos, but I think I talked about pretty much, right? So this is range. This is ranging price action, right? We're in our 5 minute range, right? So this the 5 minute range is pretty much the top of the my bad. The 5 minute range is literally the first five candles that are formed, the very high of the first 5 minute candle that's formed, and the very low of the first 5 minutes of like. Bro, I'm so dog shit at like explaining things. Holy crap. Maybe I need to become Kaisen and start reading to articulate myself better, bro. Like this is a crazy, right? So we're like, right, the first 5 minute range candle. So actually, to be explained a little bit better, right? I can kind of go here, show this, right, and simply, right, I can clearly see that we're in our first 5 minute range, right? So this is the first 5 minute candle, right? And we're still in the range of our first 5 minutes, right? So we haven't broken out a below or above of our first 5 minute range, right? So it's a very easy way to gauge whether or not we're gonna kind of be choppy or not choppy, right? If we're just above this 5 minute range, right? So very simple way, right? So we kind of came back above this 5 minute range and just rejected again. So showing that we're choppy, you should not be trading this name at all, right? So that's a very easy way to kind of discern if we're gonna be bullish or bearish, right? For the day intraday, right? Look at this meta. We're breaking up our pre-market high, right? And we're kind of showing that we're kind of bullish, right? But why do I not want to take this name? Why am I hesitant to take this name, right? While this is kind of showing, right, it's still choppy price action, right? We're kind of still like not making higher highs and higher lows cleanly, but QQQ and SPY are at low of day slash dumping. So I do not want to take this name long at all. And this is something you kind of understand from trading like for a long time. But I'm for sure getting off topic, right? Like I'm talking for a very long time. But bro, I don't even remember what I'm talking about, right? So let's go back to the slides. Why relative strength matters for options, as I said earlier. Why? Because um it'll make you confident in your steps because it's going to be higher probability, right? Cleaner moves and better risk to reward, right? Because you know that if it gets below your key level or below whatever you're trying to enter your confluence is, you're wrong, right? Because it's going to be choppy or you're just going to reverse, right? You want the higher time frame to continue that momentum. Okay, so how to identify relative strength? Simply, you want to look at QQ and SPY and see what it's doing for the day, right? So I see that QQQ is just rejecting our pre-market high, showing bearish price action because we cannot get above either of these two levels, right? We can't get above our pre-market high and we can't get above our 5 minute range high, right? So I know that we're kind of choppy until we break these lows, right? So after we break these lows, I'm like, okay, QQ is weak. Let's go to SPY. SPY is also weak, right? And then on tech names, right? On the same day, right? We can kind of see that Nvidia is above like our range, right? But we're not making higher and higher lows aggressively, right? So we kind of rejecting these highs and we're coming back down, right? So there's no name of relative strength, right? Same with Tesla, we're just coming back down with QQ and SPY. Same with Apple, same with Amazon, same with Meta, same with AMD, right? So we can actually kind of see that the Tesla and Nvidia are just following the markets actually, right? We kind of can see we had some sort of strong pricing at the market open while consolidating, but once QQ and SPY started dropping, then Tesla and Nvidia, all other names started dropping, right? So like a good example would be if QQ and SPY were dropping, and let's say for example, right, like let's for example that QQ example we saw earlier when QQ was dropping, right, like Tesla was making new higher highs and higher lows, then this shows that this name is relative strength, right? So like these are decent examples, but like you guys really the most important thing is you guys want to see what the name you're trying to trade or what you should be looking at for to trade a name. Okay, oh my god, bro, I'm I'm talking too much. Like so let's say for example, if QQQ is making higher highs and higher lows, and then Tesla is making lower highs and lower lows, then clearly Tesla has relative weakness because QQQ is pushing to the upside and Tesla's going to the downside, right? Same if you flip it, right? If QQQ is pushing to the downside, right? QQ is pushing to the downside right here. Um, I mean, you can SPY push to the downside. Tesla is pushing to the upside with higher highs and higher lows. Then that name has relative strength, while QQ and SPY are weak, right? Because we're now using QQQ and SPY as like a benchmark for like the name you want to trade on tech. So this kind of edge anyone can have, and it's fully like depending on how you can analyze the markets, right? And clearly, like I analyze it pretty well considering I have 100% winner for the month, right? And also I'll pull up the YouTube, right? I mean the Discord, right? Like you can see like you know I'm every single day I'm talking about SPY, what's SPY doing, what is the tech doing, right? You can SPY choppy, will be patient, right? Um, um, right. So like like I'm just yapping, bro. But like if you guys can just understand like the concept, right? I'll make better videos in the future. This is just like my first video I've made, so I'm just kind of all over the place. But I'm kind of just like making the foundation for like maybe future and better videos, So hard time frame analysis, I kind of talked about that, right? This is just bullshit, right? I don't even know why this is even here, right? So don't worry about that. Daily 4 hours does matter, but hourly time frame also works really good, right? Daily in 4 hours just like says the same thing pretty much, but hourly time frame is a little bit better because you can kind of see a little bit smaller what we're doing, right? So higher time frame checklist, right? Literally higher highs and higher lows, key support and resistance above or below major moving averages. Simply for above or below our 90 EMA, 21 EMA, like this it doesn't matter as much either, right? So I'll go Google as an example, right? Or Amazon, right? So what does the moving averages mean, right? So simply this yellow line is our 9 EMA, or this blue line is our 21 EMA, and a red line is a 34 EMA. So if we're above these EMAs, especially this 34 EMA, then we're kind of bullish. We're bullish on the higher time frame. If we're below this EMA, then we're kind of bearish, right? You can kind of see it works, right? You can kind of see it works, but I think the most important thing is knowing what bullish and bearish market structure looks like. That's the more important thing, right? You don't want to cheat your way through this, right? Because then when we're in choppiness, then you're kind of going to be confused. And so, look, we're above our 34 EMA, right? I think the red line is the most important thing, right? You kind of want to use a higher EMA for looking at the higher time frame, right? Because smaller EMA will just be so tight, you can't see anything, right? Like you don't want to just be using that. The 90 EMA is usually used in intraday, right? Same with 21, and then the bigger time frame, right? Higher time frame, you want to use a 34 and 50 EMA, right? I don't use a 50 EMA because I'm not a higher time frame. I don't swing trade, but 34 EMA gets the job done, right? I don't really even use it that much because I can look and use my eyeballs and see if myself is bearish or not. So that's another thing you can kind of use if you want a little cheat code. But combining relative strength and higher time frame, so that's pretty much relative strength is intraday, right? Intraday price action plus a higher time frame. So like if we're bullish on like the higher time frame, and we're showing relative strength while QQ is chopping. Tesla is making higher highs and higher lows while it's looking bullish on the higher time frame. Then you can combine those two together and kind of have a high probability of Tesla showing that continuation, right? So, for example, right, Tesla over here kind of showing on the higher, not like as a higher time frame, but kind of like we're showing that we're kind of on the higher time frame, right? We're kind of showing that we're pushing to the upside, right? Tesla's the past 2 days has been closing above our key levels and showing strong price action, right? So I know if we get above these key levels again, right, I can take this name again. So that was a pretty bad example, I cannot lie. But if you kind of get that point, then you can it works out, So you know, so what does this do, right? If you can filter out the higher time frame, which is intraday price action, plus a higher time frame, you can filter out those trash steps, which is literally the best thing ever, right? Like I'm not trading. You see all these tech names and you're like, what the hell's happening, right? But I'm not trading all these names. I'm just trading one or two max, right? And the rest of the names are just trash or not doing shit. So I'm not trying to trade, right? There's only one or two stocks that are actually worth trading on the tech names every single day, right? So it filters out all the low quality setups, right? You want a long, strong stocks and short, weak stocks, right? Very simple, right? Compared to QQ and SPY, especially, right? So you can kind of combine them to get a high winner, and that's literally what I did, right? That's literally what I do and what I always preach. And so what is A plus setup? Literally what I said previously, all those kind of align together. Strong relative strength and higher time frame bias also align with the relative strength, right? So if we're showing relative strength at higher time frame and we're also showing relative strength, I'm just yapping. If we're showing higher highs and higher lows, which is showing bullish price action on the higher time frame, and we're also showing strong relative strength, then you can then it looks it's high probability. You always want to take high probability setups, right? I'm telling you guys, when if you get like the market has so much money, you get the direction right, you will make money, right? Like there's so much money in the markets, we know this, right? As traders, even now, I'm like, holy shit, there's so much money to be made in the markets, right? You can scale up to 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe 9 figures in the markets. It's absolutely insane, right? So, um, like, so just be able to understand that if you can like get a plus set with the strong relative strength and with the higher time frame combined, then your win rate will be 100 times better than whatever you're doing now. It's as simple as that, right? So the rules, right? Relative strength versus the market, right? You want to see what tech is doing versus a QQ and SPY, right? So if Tesla is showing higher highs and higher lows while QQQ is chopping or kind of breaking a low of day, then that shows Tesla's relative strength. Simple as that, right? So, and it's also if Tesla has higher time frame, right? The higher time frame is making higher highs and higher lows, and also showing relative strength above our key levels. That's literally an A plus criteria for us to take a setup. Simple as that, right? And if you guys are wondering like what I need examples, right? Go on my YouTube, look at my trade recaps. I'm the same thing I'm yapping now. I'm yapping those trade recaps because it works. It literally works, right? The reason why you see traders fail and not work is simply because there's one, a major skill issue, and number two, they're not patient enough and slash to have the right system slash entry model to actually capitalize on these moves, right? You want to be able to capitalize on these moves that the markets make. Um, so yeah, so pretty much end of the video, right? How long is this video? Like 26 minutes long. Like I mean, I'm just yapping at this point. Like this is just like a prototype video. This is just me seeing what I can do, seeing how I edit this video, seeing what I like, like this is my first video ever. Let's see how it does. Let's see what the feedback looks like. You guys can literally tell me if the video is trash or good. I take criticism very, very well, So, and if you guys found some sort of knowledge from this video, like you gained something, which I hope you did because I pour my heart and soul in this video, then please like, please subscribe. I'm trying to grow this YouTube channel. So yeah, so final thoughts. Not every day is tradable, right? There are days where you should not be trading, and I'll show you guys, right? Did not take a trade on January 8th, and not take a trade on Wednesday the 14th, right? And I can kind of show you guys those days, but I can't show you guys what I was looking at those days. So what day was that? The 14th. So that is, where is that? 12. Perfect. So this is the 14. QQ and SPY choppy, right? Literally, as I said, QQ and SPY is choppy, right? And then if no tech name show relative strength, right, or relative weakness, then there's no trade to take. There's nothing. There's no market. There's no opportunity for. There's no opportunity in the market for that day. Simple as that, right? We'll be patient looking at meta puts, right? But I got no confirmation, no good entry, so did not take anything, right? Look, literally next A54, nothing worth trading. Save the mental capital. We'll wait until 9 a.m. for a potential move, right? Literally nothing happened. I waited till 9 a.m., nothing happened, calling it a day here. And days like this is where you have to understand that this is not a high probability day, right? And look at this, right? Every name is trash. I know AMD kind of had a bigger move, but I talked about that right below this. But look, choppy, slow price action, nothing's happening. Within our key levels, we kind of broke under our opening range low and our pre-market low later, but still slow price action. Tech is not doing anything. There's not a high probability day to trade, right? The only days I'll trade QQ and SPY is when we have really strong weakness, right? This is not strong weakness at all. This is not strong weakness at all, right? So I even talked about AMB move was wild, but it was a little bit later in the day, right? No, unless you're aggressive above this 219 level, then no really entry on this name. But yeah, so as I was saying, I practice what I preach, which is the most important thing you want to see people doing. And yeah, that is pretty much the video, the synopsis of this video, right? So if you guys learned something, then that's good. If you didn't, then you're probably not even at this point of the video, let's be honest. So but yeah, that is the video, guys. So don't forget to like and subscribe, and peace.